The wind on the edge of the colony was cold and dry. Dust blew across the ground like whispers of forgotten voices. Near the trash area behind the space station, something moved in the dirt. It was not a machine. It was not an animal. It was a girl. She was alien. Her skin was pale blue, with strange glowing lines that ran across her arms. Her eyes were large, golden, and full of pain. Her name was Zari. Zari could not walk. Her legs did not move. Her arms were weak. Every movement hurt. Her people had once called her a warrior, brave and powerful. But now they had left her here broken. Useless, alone. Zari did not cry. Her kind did not believe in tears. But her chest felt heavy, as if her heart was breaking every moment she lay in the dirt. 2 days had passed. No food. No water. No help. Aliens from other species walked by sometimes. Some looked at her and shook their heads. Others turned away quickly. One even laughed. "She's just trash now," a voice had said once. Zari's lips were dry. She whispered in her own language, "Why did they leave me? Why?" And then, footsteps, heavy boots, walking slowly. She tried to lift her head. She expected another stranger, maybe someone ready to mock her again. But the footsteps stopped near her. A shadow fell across her broken body. Zari blinked and saw a face. A human face. A male. He had short dark hair, a scar on his left cheek, and tired eyes. His clothes were dirty. He looked like a soldier. He knelt beside her. He didn't look scared. He didn't look angry. He just looked curious. "Are you alive?" he asked gently. Zar. I didn't understand the words, but the tone was soft. Kind. She coughed, and then nodded. The human looked around, then pulled out a small bottle from his pack. He held it to her lips. "Water," he said. Zari hesitated, then drank. The cool liquid ran down her throat, and she felt life returning to her body. The man spoke again. "Name?" She didn't answer. He pointed to himself. "Jason." Then he pointed to her. Zar. I opened her mouth slowly. "Za. She said, her voice like a whisper. Jason smiled. "Zari, good." He looked at her legs, then back into her eyes. "What happened to you?" She looked away. The memory was too painful. The mission, the explosion, the crash, the betrayal. Her own team had carried her here, then left her behind when she couldn't walk. Jason stood up, looking around. "You shouldn't be here. This isn't a place for anyone to die." He bent down and lifted her carefully in his arms. Zari gasped. No one had touched her kindly in weeks. She expected him to drop her, but he didn't. He carried her as if she was something precious. As they walked, Zari rested her head against his chest. His heart was strong. His body warm. She didn't understand why this human was helping her. She had heard about humans before. Loud, dangerous, always fighting. But this one was different. He brought her into a small room behind a supply station. It was quiet inside. A small bed, a chair, a light. He laid her down gently and covered her with a blanket. "I'll find help," he said. "Stay here." She grabbed his hand weakly. "Why, help?" Jason looked at her for a long moment. Then said softly, "Because no one helped me once. And I remember what that felt like." Then he turned and left. Zari stared at the ceiling. Her body still hurt. Her heart was still heavy. But for the first time since she was left behind, she felt hope. Outside, the wind still blew. But inside, the broken alien girl was no longer alone. Jason didn't mean to find her. He wasn't looking for anyone. He wasn't trying to be a hero. He was just walking. The old metal floor of the outer colony groaned under his boots as he moved through the shadows. His team had left for drills. He had stayed behind again. His head still wasn't right. Not after the last mission. Too many screams. Too much blood. Jason wasn't like the others anymore. He often wandered alone now. That's when he saw her. Body in the dirt. At first, he thought it was junk. But then it moved, just a little. And then he saw her eyes, golden, wide, full of pain. She didn't speak much. Just one word, Zari. That was her name. Now, hours later, Jason stood in the corner of a small, empty room. Zari lay on the old bed he had cleaned for her. Her thin arms rested over her chest. Her legs didn't move at all. He watched her sleep. Who? Just leave someone like that? He thought. What kind of people throw away their own? He remembered his own past. When he came back from war injured, shaking, lost. Some people smiled at him, but most just moved on. No one stayed. Until now, he hadn't stayed for anyone either. He looked at the strange glowing lines on Zari's skin. Her alien body was broken, but she was alive. And she was brave. Jason reached into his bag and pulled out a small translator chip. It was old, but maybe it would still work. He placed it near her ear. Zari stirred. Her eyes opened slowly. She looked at him, unsure. Can you hear me now? Jason asked. She blinked. Then, in a slow, rough voice, she answered, Yes, I understand. He sat beside her. Good, we can talk now. She looked at him carefully. Why are you helping me? Jason leaned back in his chair. I don't know. Maybe because I know how it feels to be thrown away. Zari didn't speak. I was a soldier, he said. I fought in a bad war, got hurt. They said I was no longer useful. My friends stopped calling. My team left me behind once too. Zari turned her head toward him. So, you understand? Yeah. He said, I do. A long silence passed between them. Then Jason stood. I'm going to get you something better to lie on. That bed is trash. He left the room, and as the door closed, Zari looked at the ceiling again. This human was strange. Not loud, not cruel. He didn't laugh at her. He didn't pity her. He just stayed. For her, that was more powerful than any medicine. When Jason came back, he brought soft padding, a clean blanket, and a small heater. He adjusted everything carefully. Then, without asking, he began to clean her arms and face with warm water. Zar. I single quotes, his voice trembled. You do not fear me? Jason smiled. I've seen worse. She tried to laugh. It sounded broken, but real. Do you know, she whispered, in my culture, if someone touches you kindly, it means they accept your spirit. Jason paused, then said, well, maybe I do. That night, Zari didn't dream of fire or betrayal. She dreamed of warm hands, soft voices, and a soldier who didn't walk away. The world outside their room didn't care about Zar. To the others. She was still just a broken alien, a problem to avoid, a mistake to forget. But Jason cared. Every day since he found her, he fed her, cleaned her wounds, and helped her sit up. He even made a small pillow from his old uniform. Zari had never known this kind of care. Not even from her own people. But Jason knew she needed more. She needed real help. A doctor. A machine to scan her spine. Something that could tell them if she'd ever walk again. So one morning, he made a choice. He carried her through the open streets of the colony. Heads turned. People stared. Some looked shocked. Others whispered, a human with her? Why? Is he wasting time on a crippled alien? Jason ignored them. Zari hid her face against his chest. Put me down, she whispered. Please, no, he said firmly. We're going to get you help. They reached the colony's medical center, clean, full of machines and voices. Jason pushed the door open with his boot and stepped inside. A nurse behind the counter looked up. Her smile froze. Human soldier? She asked. How? Can we assist? Then she saw Zari. Her smile disappeared. Jason spoke calmly. She's injured. She can't move her legs. She needs a scan, maybe surgery. The nurse's face became cold. She's not human. I know that. We don't. treat aliens here, especially not outsiders. Jason's jaw tightened. She's alive, she needs help. I don't care what species she is. A doctor came out from behind the curtain, frowning. Take her to your own kind. This clinic is for Earthborn and allied species only. Zari's heart sank. Her fingers gripped Jason's shirt, she had hoped, just for a moment. But hope had tricked her again. Jason stood still for a long time. Then he turned around without a word and carried her out. The sky above was gray. Inside, Zari whispered, I told you. I'm not worth it. Jason stopped in the middle of the road. You don't get to say that, he said sharply. You didn't leave yourself to die. They did. Zari looked away. Jason took her back to their small room. He laid her down gently and sat beside her. His face was tired, angry. I'll find someone, he said. Even if I have to build something. Myself. Zari stared at the ceiling. Why do you keep trying? He looked at her. Because no one tried for me. Not even once. That night, Jason stayed up late. He searched through junkyards, broken tech, spare parts. He returned with wires, wheels, and old machine arms. Zari watched from her bed, confused. What are you doing? She asked. Jason smirked. Building you something better than pity. And so, in the middle of a colony that refused to care, a human soldier began to build a wheelchair for the broken alien girl no one wanted. And for the first time in her life, Zari didn't feel like trash. She felt seen. She felt chosen. Zari had never seen hands move like his. Not fast. Not perfect, but careful. Patient. Each wire Jason connected, each piece he shaped, was done with a kind of respect, like he was building something sacred. He wasn't just building a chair. He was building her freedom. Zari watched from the bed. She didn't speak much, but her eyes followed every move he made. She had trained as a fighter once, on her home planet. She had held weapons, climbed walls, flown ships. Now she couldn't even lift her legs. But Jason never looked at her with pity, only focus. Only care. When he finished tightening the last bolt, he turned to her. It's not fancy, he said, but it'll move. He brought the chair close and gently helped her into it. Zari's fingers trembled as they touched the side of the frame. Try it, he said. She looked at the small control panel on the arm. Simple switches. One for forward. One to stop. One to turn. She pressed the first one. The chair moved. Slow, unsteady, but it moved. Zari gasped. A smile, small and unsure, spread across her face. Jason grinned. See? Told you I could build anything. She looked up at him. You really didn't have to do this. He shrugged. Yeah, but I wanted to. That night, they sat outside under the pale light of the colony's moons. Zari rolled beside him, still getting used to her chair. Jason gave her a protein bar. She sniffed it first before tasting it. Then nodded. Strange flavor, she said. But not bad, he laughed softly. That's military food for you. For a while they didn't talk. Just watch the sky. Then Zari asked, why do humans talk so much? Jason raised an eyebrow. We do? Yes, you tell stories. Share thoughts. My kind. We are taught to stay quiet. Feelings are weakness. Jason shook his head. That's wrong. Feelings are what make us alive. Zari tilted her head. Even pain? Especially pain, Jason said. It means we survived it. Zari looked at her legs. Then I have survived a lot, she whispered. Jason nodded. So have I. Their eyes met. Something passed between them. Not romance, not yet, but a bond, something new. Something warm. Zari pointed to the scar on his cheek. What happened there? Jason smiled faintly. Knife fight. Saved a teammate. Got this as thanks. She traced the edge of her own arm, where old burn marks remained. I fell from a burning ship. They said I was lucky to live. Jason looked at her quietly. I think we're both lucky. We found each other. Zari looked down. Do you see me as weak? He leaned closer. No, he said. I see you as strong, just wounded. Zari's voice was soft. That's what I see when I look at you too. For the first time, they understood something deeper. Two broken souls. Two outcasts, different species, different worlds. But the same kind of loneliness. And in that loneliness, a strange bond was born. It started with a sound, a quiet click. Then another . Like claws tapping metal. Zari froze. She knew that sound. Jason was working outside the room, fixing the wheel on her chair. He didn't hear it, but Zari did. Her golden eyes widened. No one else walked like that. No one else moved with such cold rhythm. It was them. Her people. Or at least, what was left of them. Jason walked back inside, wiping grease from his hands. Chair's good as new. He stopped when he saw her face. Zari? He said. What's wrong? She whispered. They're here. Jason frowned. Who? She stared at the door. The ones who left me. Before he could ask more, a loud thud hit the wall. Then another. Someone was outside. Jason pulled his old plasma pistol from the drawer and stood in front of her. Three tall shadows entered the hallway. Dark armor, sharp helmets, glowing weapons. They weren't here too. Talk. One stepped forward. His voice was cold, his words cruel. Zari, so this is where you crawled off to? Jason didn't move. Who are you? The alien's eyes narrowed. Her former commander, and you must be the foolish human. Jason raised the pistol slightly. She's under my protection. The commander laughed. She's broken, worthless. She was meant to die. Zari's voice shook. You left me. Yes, the commander said. We had a war to fight. And no room for the useless. Jason's jaw tightened. Get out. You're making a mistake, human, the alien growled. Protecting her makes you a target. Jason took a step forward. Then aim at me. The three aliens looked at each other. They weren't expecting this. The commander stepped back. You have made your choice. She is yours now. When we return, don't say we didn't warn you. Then, they vanished into the night. The door shut behind them. Zari was shaking. Not from fear but rage. I should have stood up to him long ago, she whispered. I was a warrior once. I followed orders. But when I was no longer useful, I became garbage to them. Jason turned to her, voice low. Then it's time you stop letting them define who you are. She looked at him. You helped me move, she said. You gave me voice, warmth, food, hope. Jason knelt beside her. Now I'll help you fight. But I have no legs, she said bitterly. He smirked. Then we fight in our own way. That night, they worked together, modifying her chair, adding shields, sensors, and stun bursts. Jason showed her how to use his old military tools. Zari taught him alien tactics. She may not walk again, but she still had her mind, and now she had something stronger than any weapon. She had purpose, and someone who believed in her. The enemy was coming back, but this time, they wouldn't find her helpless. They would find her ready. Asterisk. Lightning cracked across the sky. Rain hit the metal roofs like angry fingers. And in the middle of it all, Zari waited. She wasn't hiding. She wasn't running. She sat in her rebuilt chair, calm, ready, her eyes fixed on the colony gate. Behind her stood Jason, checking his weapon one last time. They'll be here soon, he said. I know, Zari replied. But this time, there was no fear in her voice. Just fire. The trap was ready. Jason had turned their tiny room into a defense zone. Motion alarms, smoke bursts, short-range energy nets. And Zari? She had spent every night training her hands, her arms, her mind. She had turned her wheelchair into a machine of survival. A new kind of weapon. Not to destroy, but to stand her ground. Because sometimes Standing was louder than war. Suddenly dash footsteps. Dozens. Marching. In rhythm. Jason looked through the crack in the door. They brought more this time, he said. Looks like a full strike unit. Zari gripped the control handles of her chair. Let them come. Moments later, the commander appeared again, helmet off, face twisted with pride. I warned you, human, he shouted. Give her up now. And we won't burn this place down, Jason stepped forward. Funny, I was about to offer you the same deal. The commander laughed. You think the two of you can stop us? Zari rolled forward, stopping beside Jason. Her golden eyes locked on the alien commander. I'm not weak anymore, she said. I'm not yours. I never was. Look at you. The commander sneered. Still broken, still useless. Zari pressed a small switch on her chair. A glowing pulse spread across the ground. The trap was activated. Jason smirked. Oops. The moment the enemy crossed the signal line, boom. Ah! Wall of smoke exploded in their faces. They scattered, confused. Zari shot forward, her chair moving like lightning, weaving through the chaos. She used her arm blade, one of Jason's inventions, to trip two enemies. Another aimed at her, but she spun her chair, used the back thruster to push a barrel into him. Jason fought beside her, taking hits, covering her back. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't pretty, but it was war. And they were winning. One by one, the enemy fell back. The commander growled, rage in his eyes. You'll regret this, he shouted. Zari rolled to the edge of the smoke, face glowing with confidence. No, she said coldly. I'll remember this, as the day I stood. The commander hesitated. Then turned and vanished with the last of his troops. Silence followed. Only the sound of rain and heavy breaths remained. Jason dropped his weapon and turned to Zari. You okay? He asked. She looked at the dents in her chair, the dirt on her arms, then she smiled. I didn't fall, she said. Jason smiled back. No, you stood taller than anyone else today. They didn't have medals, they didn't have backup, but they had something better, each other, and a victory no one could ever erase. Zari didn't just survive, she became a symbol. At first, people only stared at her from a distance, the blue-skinned alien in a strange chair, guarded by a quiet human soldier. But then, the whispers started. She fought off a whole unit? They said she was paralyzed. Her chair has thrusters? More and more aliens and humans began visiting their side of the colony. Some were broken like her, others were just curious. But all of them came for one reason: hope. One day, a small alien child approached shyly. He had a twisted foot and limped when he walked. Is it true? He asked. You can't walk, but you still fought them? Zari looked at him kindly. I didn't need legs to fight. I needed courage. And someone who believed in me. The child smiled. Jason was repairing her chair in the corner. He looked up and caught Zari's eyes. She gave him a small nod. She hadn't just been saved. She had been rebuilt. But more importantly, she had rebuilt herself. Later that week, something strange happened. A message came from the colony leaders. They had heard of her story, seen the footage from the fight, and they offered her a place. Not as a refugee, but as an advisor. Zari was shocked. I was left to die, she said quietly. Now they want me to lead? Jason grinned. Funny how people change once they see strength. She looked out the window at the sky filled with ships and life. I don't want to lead them, she said. I want to help others like me, the forgotten ones, the broken ones. Jason stood beside her. Then let's build something new. Together. And so they did. They opened a small center at the edge of the colony. No fancy name. No uniforms. Just a message on the wall. You are not useless. You are not alone. Zari spoke to wounded veterans. Jason taught defense to the weak. Together, they gave strength where it had once been stolen. One night, as stars lit up the sky, Zari sat quietly beside Jason. She whispered, "When you found me, I was nothing." Jason shook his head. "You were never nothing. You were just waiting to be seen." She reached for his hand and held it gently. "No," she said. "I was waiting for you." He didn't reply, but he didn't need to, because in the silence, two hearts, one human, one alien, beat in the same rhythm. Zari had been disabled, alone, rejected, but now she was more. She was alive. She was strong. She was finally home.